You are standing in the tunnel in Johannesburg. The noise is heavy. Orange shirts bounce on one side, red shirts breathe slowly on the other, and somewhere above your head the World Cup trophy waits under the lights. Your boots feel light, but your country feels heavy. Because this is Spain in 2010, and for almost a century, Spain has been football's great promise that never fully arrived. How can a nation with so much talent feel so afraid of one final step? For decades, you heard the same story. Spain had skill. Spain had stars. Spain had clubs that terrified Europe. But the national team carried a strange curse, a feeling that when the pressure grew, the red shirt became too heavy to wear. Then, in just 4 years, everything changed. Euro 2008, World Cup 2010, Euro 2012. 3 major tournaments in a row. No European nation had ever ruled international football quite like that. And by the end, Spain had not just won trophies. Spain had broken the way people thought football was supposed to work. To understand why, you have to go back before the trophy, before Andres Iniesta's right foot, before the passing circles that made opponents chase shadows. You have to go back to the old wound. Spain won the European Championship in 1964, beating the Soviet Union in Madrid, but after that triumph, the national team became a symbol of frustration. Brian Glanville, in his long history of the World Cup, treated Spain as one of those nations whose domestic strength rarely translated into world dominance. David Goldblatt, in The Ball is Round, shows how football identity is never just about players. It is about politics, regions, memory, and what a country believes about itself. And Spain had all of that pressed into one shirt. Real Madrid and Barcelona were giants. The Basque Country had its own football soul. Catalonia had another. Madrid had another. So when you pulled on the national shirt, what exactly were you carrying? A team? A flag? A compromise? For years, the answer never looked simple. Spain entered tournaments with gifted players and left with familiar pain. In 1982, you hosted the World Cup and failed to reach the final stages that mattered most. In 1994, you lost to Italy in a quarterfinal remembered for Mauro Tassati's elbow on Luis Enrique and for the feeling that justice had slipped away. In 2002, you lost to South Korea on penalties after disputed decisions and disallowed goals. In 2006, you arrived in Germany with young talent, won the group, then lost to France in the round of 16. Same story, same sigh, beautiful players, painful exit. So what changed? The easy answer is tiki-taka. But tiki-taka is often misunderstood. It was not just passing for the sake of passing. It was not decoration. Tiki-taka means short, quick passing in small spaces, using the ball like a shield and a weapon at the same time. You keep it so the opponent cannot hurt you. You move it so the opponent loses shape. You wait until one tired defender steps half a meter too far, and then the door opens. Simple, right? Not simple at all. Jonathan Wilson, in Inverting the Pyramid, traces how football tactics evolved from rigid lines into fluid systems where space became the real battlefield. Spain's great trick was making the ball control the space. Every pass asked a question. Every triangle offered an answer. Every midfielder became both a lock and a key. But this idea did not appear from nowhere. It grew through Barcelona, through La Masia, through the academy that shaped players to think before they ran. It carried the influence of Johan Cruyff, who brought the Dutch idea of total football to Barcelona. Total football means players rotate positions without the team losing structure, so the shape survives even when the people inside it move. Cruyff taught that the ball could organize everything. Pep Guardiola later sharpened that idea at Barcelona, turning possession into suffocation. But the national team still needed someone brave enough to choose a new Spain. That person was Luis Aragones. He did not build a team by collecting the biggest names. He built a team by changing the emotional weather around the shirt. After the 2006 World Cup defeat to France, Spain could have gone back to panic. Instead, Aragones leaned into small technical midfielders, the very players who had once been told they might be too light, too short, too delicate for brutal tournament football. Xavi Hernandez, Andres Iniesta, David Silva, Cesc Fabregas, Santi Cazorla. The message was clear. You would not become more Spanish by fighting your own nature. You would become more dangerous by trusting it. At Euro 2008, the change finally became visible. You are not watching Spain rush. You are watching Spain breathe. The ball goes from foot to foot, not wildly, not slowly, but with a strange calm that makes the game feel smaller for Spain and larger for everyone else. Then comes the quarterfinal against Italy. Italy is not just another opponent. Italy is the old nightmare. Defensive experience, tournament patience, penalty pressure, everything Spain had usually failed to survive. Catenaccio is often used as shorthand for Italian defending, but in plain English it means locking the back door first, protecting space near the goal, and forcing the opponent to solve a crowded puzzle. Spain could not solve it in open play, so the match went to penalties. And this time, the story changed. Iker Casillas saved. Cesc Fabregas scored. Spain survived the exact kind of moment that used to destroy Spain. Can a team change its history with one penalty shootout? Maybe not completely, but it can change the room inside its own head. Spain beat Russia in the semifinal. Spain beat Germany in the final. Fernando Torres scored the goal, but the deeper victory was psychological. The old Spain had cracked under expectation. This Spain carried expectation like a rhythm. Sid Lowe, one of the sharpest English-language writers on Spanish football, has often emphasized how 2008 felt like a release, not just a win. It was the moment Spain stopped apologizing for being Spain. Then came 2010, and here is the counterintuitive twist. Spain did not dominate the World Cup by scoring freely. Spain dominated by making chaos disappear. The tournament began with a shock defeat to Switzerland. One mistake, one counterattack, one loss. Suddenly, the old ghosts were back. You can picture the headlines. Same Spain, same collapse, same beautiful failure. But inside the team, the response was different. Vicente del Bosque, calm and gentle in public, did not tear the plan apart. He trusted the structure. He kept the midfield brain. He added balance with Sergio Busquets and Xabi Alonso, two players who helped Spain protect against counterattacks while the artists worked ahead of them. A holding midfielder is the player who sits deeper, covers danger, and lets the creative players take risks without the whole team falling open. Busquets made that role look almost invisible. That was the point. Spain then beat Honduras. Spain beat Chile. Spain beat Portugal. Spain beat Paraguay. Spain beat Germany. Then Spain reached the Netherlands in the final. Look again at that tunnel in Johannesburg. This is not just a match. It is a collision between two football memories. The Netherlands gave the world Cruyff, total football, and the idea that beauty could be a system. Spain had absorbed that idea through Barcelona and turned it into a national language. Now the teacher's country stood across from the student's country, both wearing the pressure of history. The final was not pretty. It was tense. It was rough. The Netherlands pressed, kicked, disrupted, and tried to make Spain uncomfortable. Pressing means chasing the opponent immediately to win the ball back or force a rushed pass. But Spain did what Spain had learned to do. You take the blow. You keep the ball. You reset. You ask the same question again. In extra time, the answer finally arrived. Fabregas found Iniesta. Iniesta struck across goal. The ball hit the net. And Spain, the country that always seemed to arrive with talent and leave with regret, became world champion. One goal, one white undershirt, one nation exhaling. But the story did not end there. Euro 2012 made the argument unavoidable. By then, some people said Spain had become boring. Too many passes, too much control, not enough risk. That criticism tells you how much Spain had changed football. A team so dominant that its control began to feel unfair was now being accused of making winning look too predictable. In the final against Italy, Spain destroyed that argument. 4-0. David Silva scored. Jordi Alba scored. Fernando Torres scored. Juan Mata scored. It was one of the most complete final performances in international football history. The team that supposedly passed too much suddenly looked like a blade. So what did Spain break? Not football itself. Spain broke football's old assumptions. The assumption that international teams needed physical power more than technical control. The assumption that small midfielders could not rule the biggest stages. The assumption that possession was passive. The assumption that national teams could not play with the complexity of great clubs. After Spain, every country had to answer new questions. How do you press a team that never panics? How do you defend against players who do not dribble past you, but pass around your entire shape? How do you keep your own fans patient when the opponent is turning the match into a slow trap? Modern football still lives inside those questions. You see Spain's shadow in Guardiola's Manchester City, in teams that build from the goalkeeper, in midfielders who are judged not just by tackles or goals, but by angles, scanning, timing, and calm under pressure. You see it when a center back refuses to panic and plays a short pass instead of smashing the ball away. You see it when a child in an academy is told to check their shoulder before receiving the ball. You see it every weekend. And yet Spain's reign also carried its own warning. No style wins forever. By the 2014 World Cup, the same Spain that had ruled the world collapsed in Brazil, losing heavily to the Netherlands and then to Chile. The ball still moved. The names were still famous, but the edge had gone. Opponents had adapted. Bodies had aged. The rhythm that once felt untouchable now felt readable. That is football's cruel law. Every revolution becomes a lesson for the next revolution. But even when Spain fell, the idea remained. From 2008 to 2012, Spain proved that control could be emotional. It was not cold. It was not robotic. It was a country teaching itself not to fear the ball, not to fear silence, not to fear the final pass before the final moment. You began as a nation trapped by expectation. You became a team that made expectation chase you. So when you stand in that tunnel in Johannesburg, the noise is still heavy. The trophy is still waiting. But your boots no longer feel light because the shirt is too heavy. They feel light because, for the first time, Spain knows exactly who it is.